Hello everyone. Today we are going to get Mujer Asesinas, and this Spanish project was the main focus of recent, and we have only episode 3 because episode 3 specifically focusing on Fátima. Fátima is the main character of one of the main characters of episode of season 3, Mujer Asesinas. And basically it's translated as woman killer or something like this. But I'm not sure that this is the correct adaptation of this title. But the main character, Fátima, played by Yara Santana, is actually a successful businesswoman, executive, and she's working in some big company in Spain, and basically her day consists of meeting, scheduling, firing people, and this is literally what this episode starts off. She's coming to fire a bunch of people at her work as an executive. She's this huge layoff affects her life somehow because she's firing 10 or something people, and this is due to her company merging with some other company, and this merge is basically leading to firing good people as well. So she's experiencing this pressure as an executive. She feels this even caused her insomnia. She cannot sleep because of that work and how much pressure it puts on her. So she takes basically sleep pills, and she's trying to find a way out of this insomnia, but it's not like she's open to any ideas, because she's basically, so as we see, pretty well put character, but she's trying to push away any help, and specifically her assistant Benny, who is basically her hands, and he helps her with a lot of things, from coffee to making an appointment, and him offering her to just go and get some, I don't know, meditation or something to help her insomnia go away is not a good idea, because she immediately just pushes him back. Any person who is trying to help will face that kind of aggressive response. But this is due to her position as an executive. She sees herself as that woman who likes to put limitations, and this is literally what she says from the very beginning. The first words she said were I like to put limitations, and I always decide how much, how often, with whom, and where, and she's all that about all limitations in her life, in her relationship. And this is her current girlfriend, as we know. who is trying to kind of make her chill, but it's not like this supposed to work, because she is basically looking for someone opposite of this woman. She doesn't need someone who just can, pity you and just sympathize with you, but she's looking for someone who can just grab you and get you out of that comfort zone. So she's basically stuck in her comfort zone, and as far as I understand, the person who is gonna just drag you out of that comfort zone, in Fatima case, it's obviously should be someone opposite of people she works with and the opposite of people she dates with. And she meets that person actually at this exhibition, and this person is Paula, an artist. And this is not her exhibition, but she is immediately trying to kind of play this game with Fatima by telling her that she remembers her name and she knows Fatima, but Fatima doesn't remember Paula. And this is kind of playful attitude makes Fatima guess like who this woman is, and she's trying to remember her, but she cannot really remember her. And Fatima really feels like someone just does what I like to do, like she pushing back Fatima, and Fatima is like expressing this willingness to get to know Paula, but Paula is pushing her back, telling her it's okay if you don't remember me, it's okay. But this is exactly what Fatima looking for, someone who can treat you the way she treats people. This is like, reflection of Fatima's attitude at her work, at her at home, and she is exactly the same person as Fatima is. So she basically met someone just like her. And after this exhibition, they actually just got taxi together, but that was kind of rushed and kind of no build up to this scene, but it's still just one episode, so there is no much time for building up this type of connection. So they immediately just hooked up in this taxi, but that wasn't just full on hooking up, but that was just a little kiss and something like this. But the main focus is that Paula is actually bringing something Fatima was liking at her work. She was liking it at home, and she was liking it with any other person, because she is basically working with people who can be easily controlled by her. For example, Benny, her assistant, is trying to flirt with Fatima, his boss, basically. And it seems like she is actually just falling for it, but it's immediately just, turning everything when we see it. Next second, he's immediately just running to her to grab her handbag, basically. And this is the exact type of people she used to control, the people who is lower you due to their positions, because they work on you. They cannot really just tell you straightforwardly what they think about you, and you can easily just control them because of that. But now she met someone who is just free force, just free spirited people that she wasn't able to meet due to her work. But now she is in this relationship with Paula, she sees like the opportunity to get out of that comfort zone in the first place, and then she can just fulfill her ambitions that her work hinders her. And hindering your ambitions and your actual desires is the worst thing. We all know that, not only from Spanish shows, but we all know that hindering anything in your life always leading to something worse. So in her case, she is ready to pay for, like, Paula, pay bills when Paula just found out that her card basically didn't respond. And that was a weird moment because they were like taking drinks, and at some point when it came to paying a bill, Paula just, she was acting like she's ready to pay it, but Fátima, she didn't really recognize any threat yet. She just thought that this is just normal. Something happens to people when their cards just get blocked or something. But I immediately just, I felt immediately just something off with this Paula character, because not only does she act weird a little, but she does everything in the most like pleasing way for Fátima, which is excessively pleasing way. So she's basically doing everything like from the script, like as if that script was written by Fátima and Paula just found that script, and she's basically doing exactly what Fátima was looking for. And their first moment when they were exploring that thing that Fátima was missing, basically, was at Paula's studio or like workshop. She's an artist and she has her own workshop. But Fátima just found out that it's time to work, but she's here at Paula's and she needs to go to work, but she's late, and even Benny this time can actually just tell her that, girl, you're just too late, get yourself together. And this is the type of moment, and the only moment when she can get kind of controlled by other person, at her work at least, and when someone can actually just tell her something, like tell what she needs to do. But more often than not, she tells people what they want or what they need to do and what they have to do at work. But now, she met this Paula character who basically put this new type of relationship Fátima wasn't prepared for. Because now Paula constantly just telling what Fátima needs and has to do. And it goes to extreme point when she comes to her work and just controlling her at her work in front of Fátima's assistant Benny, in front of all her co-workers. She just enters her office basically without any appointment. She just goes there and controlling her. And this is of course the contrast of previous relationships of Fatima's, because she wasn't like prepared for this, and she used to just control people herself, but now she's like in this controlled position, and she feels like this is something really new, and this is something like definitely confusing her, and this unsettling feeling is just something she was really looking for. And they like really discussing a lot of things aside of just gratification or something like this. And Fatima is basically got to know that Paula is basically short on money. She didn't sell any paintings. She is in the brink of like selling her workshop, or she's just not able to pay off her workshop, and not having money for your rent should be just alerting that something wrong with Paula, because she came exactly like at that moment when she's short on money, when she needs money. And there is like Fatima, who has money, definitely way more money than just common person you can meet at club or somewhere, and this is like easy target. Fatima, she is in this position where she cannot really reject Paula's proposals to go hang out, to hook up, because this is something just so refreshing, and you cannot just really immediately abandon it, because now Paula even can ring Fatima when Fatima at work. So there is no boundary. It's like definitely a bad thing when there is no boundary between work and your personal life. It becomes something where Fatima just goes to bathroom and taking photos of her, and this is in the middle of her meeting, the meeting on which she was late, and she was like excusing being late, but next minute she goes to bathroom and taking photos to send them to Paula. And this is contradicting her personality, because she was never prepared for this, but she seems like she loves it. And at this point, like, the character Fatima basically comes off as person who likes limits, but as much as she loves limits, putting boundaries, she loves breaking that boundary and breaking those limits for herself, not for other people. And this is like only applies to her personal life, of course, but we see how this affects her work and how it affects her professional life, her career. And when it happens, you just should be questioning if you're doing this because it's just working only when it actually just involves your work as well as your personal life. Otherwise it shouldn't be working, because it's just not enough of being controlled by someone. And since you don't have any person at your work who can control you, probably it's just easier to let someone control you, like from outside. I mean, like the person you don't work with, but letting that person to be a part of your work, to be a part of your life, to be a part of your everything. Just this is exactly what Fatima, exactly what she's doing right now. She is letting someone to be a huge part, even bigger part than anyone else at her work, even than her assistant Benny. So she let basically a stranger to enter her private life, your professional life easily. And now, like, something really should happen, because it's just, it never going that easy, especially with, like, this type of relationship, when one person is constantly short on money and the other person is in the middle of, like, this problem, and this is exactly what is happening, because Paula's ex-girlfriend just came to Fatima's work, and she's telling what we were talking about, like, Paula is just asking for money and she is controlling you, but this is exactly what she did to me. She's gonna control you, she's gonna ask you for money, and at some point she's gonna dump you, and she's gonna just extort you, and she's gonna just manipulate you. And she came to worry Fatima that you need to put an end to this shit. If not you, there are a lot of women who can suffer from this same shit in the future, and you need to just put a full stop to this from happening again. And as simple as it seems, Fatima is just not that person who can put that stop easily, because that means that she would lose that part of her fulfillment she just found, because now her life feels more fulfilled due to Paula's arrival. And if she just dumps her, if she really just breaks up with her, it would be just stop to her self-exploration and getting out of her comfort zone. And you cannot just stop that process throughout, and once you're there, it's just too hard to stop that process, because you found this, like, new life of yours so enjoyable, and now, like, you can easily just turn blind eye on everything, because you see that Paula just literally talking to you like you're nothing, and she's literally extorting you for money, and she's literally just blackmailing you, because she's now, like, telling Fatima that the photos that we have together is gonna be exposed to everyone at your work, at home. Everybody will see the photos of us together. If you didn't give me money monthly, like, you need to pay me, like, type of salary, but forever, So this way I can, I can be silent, but for you to keep me silent, you need to give me money like every month. And this is like the exact thing that Paula's ex was worrying Fátima, to avoid, basically. But at some point, it seems to be not that easy for Fátima to give up just and give Paula all the money she asking for and just, letting her do whatever she wants. But at some point, I just realized what makes this TV show not as good as, for example, last TV show we were discussing, Furia, and that TV show Rage from 2025 as well. That TV show was different due to the intertwining plot. And now we see separate episode dedicated to two women, more particularly to one woman, Fátima, who is already just not that complex character to make like full season about, This like technique is well known and it's used just widely in a lot of TV shows. But for example, Raven from Twisted Metal has episode dedicated to her, but she comes off as way more complex and well-written character. And this is due to writers and producers, executors of that TV show. They show not only this one side of hers, of Raven, for example. She was basically as well trying to keep her girlfriend or her friend Kelly alive, and she was looking for some type of solution, and she found that solution. But it didn't only focus on that one side of hers. Again, we saw how she can treat people poorly, and after that she gets consequences when her girlfriend basically gets treated poorly. So this is like the boomerang effect, and it plays well. It's actually just real, because in real life it feels the same, And in Fátima's case, for example, when we got to know that her ambitions and work not fully fulfilling her life, and realizing like your work is just a huge part of your life and you should do something like beside that. You should do something outside of your professional life, and that something should be fulfilling your life as much as your work is. So she found that. She found Paula, and now she's like feeling like this is that fulfilling thing that she was looking for. But there is just not enough of other sides of Fátima's to show her differently in different situations, and showing her only like at work, showing her like crying after she accidentally pushed off Paula, and Paula just died to, gravity. And this is, again, only one side of Fatima's, because it's only showing her in that stage of transforming into someone like who is exploring something new. But throughout that exploration, there is nothing happening besides her hooking up with Paula, going to different places, kissing, and giving her money, and then finding out that she is basically a thief who is extorting you. And basically, to make this TV show as good as that TV show I mentioned, Furia Rage from 2025, you either should be doing different approach to make this so unique in terms of how it's shot, how camera works, how different characters interact, or you should be developing your main character in variety of situations, not only in one type of situation. Like, she's at work, she's doing that, she's doing this, she's controlling her assistant, she's firing people, and that's all, just and it doesn't feel like we should be sympathizing with this character, because it's just not enough for me. I feel like you're firing a bunch of people at work should be leading to something like way more bigger problem for at least this company, and showing how this company struggling to basically replacing those people, or if they don't even need to replace them, how this directly putting Fatima like in a hot spot, how she's like about to lose her work, or how she's like about to meet someone who's going to replace her in the future, and to put some rivalry to make her actually just fight for something. But in this TV show, the lack of motivation, the lack of intention from main character, she only seems driven by work, and this is okay, but there is no actual fight, there is no actual goal for her. It's not shown the goal of Fatima's, which she's supposed to have, because every character should be fighting for something, and this is not your like dark desires that you're fighting for, but this is just another side of story when you have your personal life. But since your work is the main focus of this TV show, of this episode of Woman Killer Season 3, Mujeres Asesinas, and since this is the main focus, to bring her as a successful woman, executive, who is gonna be, torn between work and self-exploration, should they put something like to actually showcase her struggle, not that struggle that she fired a bunch of people and now she's like cannot sleep because of that. This is not even feels connected. Like, she fired a bunch of people, but she's executive and probably she was just told to do so. I don't even think that she's like the person behind that layoffs, but since this putting so much pressure on her, they need to show that properly, not only as she go into some type of exhibitions to, entertain herself and to not think about work. So she's trying to basically get rest by going on this type of events, exhibitions, or something. Okay, this might be good, but there is like no context of her going to that exhibition. For example, why she goes there. Like, she likes art. We don't know. Nobody told us if she did. Nobody told us if she enjoys looking paintings and just interacting with artists. She just went there and immediately just met that woman Paula, who somehow knew everything about Fátima. And basically Paula is already aware of Fátima going to this type of events to basically just get rest from her work. So she thinks like Fátima is some type of, stuck at work woman, and she's basically leading the most boring life, so this way she can just somehow entertain herself. But it's immediately just going to them interacting as if they were, acquaintances long ago, like as if they know each other for a while, but it's not enough for building up this type of connection, because 1 minute we see them just struggling to remember each other's names, and specifically Fátima, who has no idea who Paula is. But next minute we see them just getting taxi and leaving this place together, hooking up in that taxi, and not only this rust, but the context is missing so badly, because there is no context of this situation, of this exhibition. And what I mean by that is that you can actually just make this exhibition scene longer, and you can show how Fátima goes to these type of events. For example, after work, every night she goes to some type of exhibitions. She enjoying paintings, she buys some paintings, she interacts with other people, and we actually believe that she does like paintings, she does like exhibitions. But seeing this scene, we only like getting her in one single type of events like this, which is not enough for building this proper context, when every detail just tells you that she likes it, she really enjoys being there. But now it's only as if she is there for specifically this situation to meet Paula, because it's just, plot armor. So she is there because in script she is there and she needs to be there no matter what. And so the other moment, which is actually contributing to this TV show being kind of mediocre, even though it actually has some pretty good moments, there are more bad moments. I would say there are more moments that I would do differently. And since we've seen a lot of similar shows with way more complicated characters and well-written plot, it's just so easy to, make this comparison. For example, her assistant Benny acting like she is a dog for Fátima. Every time she just comes to work, he's immediately just getting on his knees, getting her hand back, getting her coffee ready, getting her seat prepared, getting everything ready for Fátima to work and to be that successful woman. This is okay. But where are other workers? Where are other people at this place? Why we only see like this singular type of, situations when she is like ordering around her assistant, but there is no other person besides him. But there was one person at the beginning who she fired basically. So that layoff basically could have seen other side of Fátima because of professional situations at work where people interact when they talking about work, but they have different opinions and there is some argument just, and they trying to solve that problem. But the only problem they were struggling with these layoffs at the beginning, and that was so obvious that she's gonna just fire those people because it's like only suitable for script, because once she fired them there is no need to show them anymore. Like they got fired, so there is like only Benny, her assistant, left, and now we can actually just build no scenes with her co-workers, but her assistant Benny, which is actually just going down to that simple communication when he's bringing her coffee and she's ordering him around. But this is not the type of professional relationship that showing the depth of Fátima's character. It's only showing like shallow attitude that she has as executive, because this is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about like someone bossing around and acting like a god, and your assistant doing everything to prove my point. because he's acting in the most ridiculous way, from bringing your like coffee to just holding your handbag. But those things, okay, if you do them, against the backdrop of other situations, like when you have way more complicated scene, when a lot of people communicating, when people at your work doing different stuff, and when the scene is saturated with different characters. Benny could be holding her bag, holding your coffee, bringing your things, but if there were more characters, more workers at this place, that scene would make more sense. And that would make more sense for her character to develop properly. Because this type of scene doesn't make any sense. It's only showing her like ordering her assistant, which is okay, but you need to put more people in this scene. You need to put scenes with them arguing, with them finding some type of solutions at work, discussing recent layoffs, how it affected this place now, and how it's gonna be like a problem. And this is the moment that was so disappointing, because for this character to be complex, interesting character, it should be something like your personal life and your professional life equally just intertwined and contributing to each other, like to make your character developed, properly. I like really the situations like this when we get to know something about people and how they just, acting in this type of situation. When, for example, Paula realized that her card basically rejected, denied, and he has like either no money or some problems with her bank. And this is a good situation, and this little situation or situation like this should be at her work with her workers, not only with her assistant Benny, but with different people, different characters. But I understand that one episode is just not enough for building a lot of storylines in one single storyline, because this storyline is Fatima's storyline, and you cannot just build those branches out of one storyline and to keep them to keep them consistent. But this way you just should have done 2, 3 way more episodes. If you're not able to develop your character in one episode, just make them 2, make 3, or just make this episode longer, because some TV shows managed to develop character in one single episode. It's not impossible, and it's not impossible for you. But the other side of this TV show, which is so much contributing to why this, for example, single episode is not fully developed or well written, is because the purpose of this TV show overall is to pay attention to women who is gonna retaliate or somehow kill someone. In the end of every episode, every single woman of this TV show is gonna kill someone, either accidentally or intentionally. But since I understand that this is the idea and the main focus of this TV show, I would say that it could have been way more flexible with those things. If you're gonna kill someone, you can do that still in the TV show. I mean, like, you can kill character, which is the main point of your TV show, okay. But to make it feel not reasonable, but to make it make sense, you need to build up to that point every single moment to prepare your audience for that moment, and to not make it feel rushed. You need to make more situations that would lead to that specific point of murder. This is exactly how murder criminal type of TV show works. To make it feel intense and to really just immerse into the scene, you need to build it so good. But did they build it? Did they actually manage to build it that way? Partly yes, 50-50 basically, because the problem is still not that deep. Insomnia, Fátima, too much of work, cannot handle her professional life, and this way she resorts to exploring her personal life in a way that she didn't before. So she finds this Paola thing is a way out of her professional problems, and at the same time she can solve her personal life. And the thing is contributing to this relationship to feel kind of surreal is that we didn't know with whom she was before, or if she was even a single, or if she was dating someone at the moment Paula has come. There is no clear answer to this. And what was her personal life before Paula came out, before she met her? What was her relationship? What kind of relationship she had before? And why those relationships were not fulfilling her? Whether there was no person who would show you those type of things Paula able to show Fátima now, or if those persons just they were not suitable for Fátima somehow, they were not just a good match for her. There is still no answer to this. Or if she was with men before and she turns out to be bisexual, or she turns out to be into women. where's the answer to this? Like, we got one scene when we saw her with her girlfriend, but that was just short, really short moment when after work she was struggling to sleep and this woman just showed up as her girlfriend to, help Fatima fall asleep. But that interaction was just so quick, and the interaction just goes down as Fatima talking about her work again, and we didn't even get the name of her girlfriend at that point. So she was completely like sidekick character who didn't contribute to any any moments that would show development of Fatima. So she was just there to make her 1 minute scene and just disappear after that. So what happened to her girlfriend? Basically, after she met Paula, basically, she was still technically, as we know, she was with someone else. She was with that woman. But that woman just disappeared with no answer to what happened to her. Just a little scene where she would breaking up with that woman would make more sense than just jumping immediately into this new opportunity, And this build up would make sense because we would have seen her attitude in her struggling to commit to any relationship, because that commitment issue would be perfect to describe her problem as the character who is looking for constant changing, who is looking for constant movement in her relationship. So she hates stale, boring relationship. But you need to show that boring relationship for us to understand how boring that was, or how she hated that type of things. And now she's getting completely opposite type of relationship, and she's confused if she's getting to something, if she's getting into new type of love, or if it's just an affair and she needs to break up with her woman to get to know this new woman. And that struggle would make sense to make this character somehow just develop. But she's slightly developing because of lacking of context again. And the work context is just so shallow, and the personal life is only showing her facing this new opportunity, even though it's dangerous, and the person you just met is gonna be the person who is extorts you and who is blackmailing you. But as much as it sounds real or you know, I don't know. I just don't believe it. So that was my opinion on this Woman Killer, Mujeres Asesinas, episode 3 of season 3, Fátima. And I still love it, but no, I like it, but I don't love it. But I would love it if the character was written a little bit better, and if the storyline was built not only of like same type of situations, go into your work, go into workshop, hooking up with this new acquaintance, Paula, and then just going again to your work, like bossing your assistant, and this is the like pretty much all the storyline, you know. But at the same time, I understand that this show is just so niche, it doesn't even need probably to go beyond that simple script, because Spanish people basically, they pretty well eat this type of content. And with all respect, I'm saying that they love this type of content. But like, to make something more complex and to show your audience, Spanish audience, Latin American, that the TV show can really evolve into something bigger, this is really good opportunity for you. And if you're not using it, someone else will use it, and your TV show will be also always mediocre, or your TV show will just stuck inside of your country and never go beyond, you know, Spanish audience. But to show your TV show like as something that's evolving and constantly changing, and the characters so different, this way you can actually just, you know, expand your audience and international audience, because I don't think that other countries would appreciate this type of story, you know. So thank you for watching, and see you next time, probably with Spanish TV show Furia next episode, or something else. Let's see. Thank you, goodbye.